Welcome back to HBO Girls Rewatch.
I am Amelia.
And I'm Evan.
And today we're covering Season 5, Episode 4, Old Loves. Oh my god, do you have any old loves? Like from childhood? Was there anybody you were in love with as a little Evan?
Yeah, I was like Goku. That's so stupid.
Goku?
Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I never watched Dragon Ball Z because I'm not a nerd.
What had happened is my babysitter, who was a nerd, would play it for me and my brother as a kid. And like I wasn't in love with him for the first 25 episodes of watching that show. We'd have to watch it every single time. Because it's my nighttime babysitter, not my daytime babysitter.
Right.
And she was 19 years old. And she loved nerdy stuff. And I only fell in love with him when he became really earnest on stage. And I was like, oh, I really have a thing when men are earnest.
Okay, so in Dragon Ball Z, is this a live action TV show where a man goes on stage?
No, it's cartoon.
And he went on a performance stage?
No, he never went on a performance stage. It's all cartoon. He actually saves the galaxy on the global stage.
Okay. So for me, I had a babysitter. I don't remember her name or how old she was, but when my mom would go on date nights, she would take us the day of to Blockbuster Video, and my brothers would have to pick out.
Wait, you went to Blockbuster?
Yeah, that's how old I am.
I've never been to a Blockbuster. I've driven past one, but I've never been inside one.
This is for Texas heads, but I used to have an HEB Plus that showed up in my town before it was just HEB regular.
Does it stand for something?
When yeah, Henry Edward Butt. He's the creator.
Wait, Butt actually for reals?
Yes.
Oh my god, this girl who didn't like me in college, her last name was Butt.
And anyway. It goes to show, but we love Henry because HEB is an amazing place. And the HEB Plus was a plus because it had a whole corner for technology and like TVs and stuff.
Wait, the grocery store with TVs? Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's a lot for me to
And
unpack.
it's like, my mom wouldn't even let us go in that corner of the store, but we would walk past it. And I remember like my adrenaline would rush and I'd be like, oh my God, there's big screens in there. It's so like 90s kid. But anyways, next to the HEB Plus was a Blockbuster Video that did close down when I was like 9 or something. But before it closed down, my mom would take us there. My brothers would pick out their one. And then I get to pick out mine one that was just for me. And I always picked the girliest one. And there was these like Hello Kitty like little movies, and all I remember about having a babysitter was getting to watch the Hello Kitty DVD I got from Blockbuster that day.
Yeah, I guess a big part of being a babysitter is putting a DVD on for a kid.
Yeah. Were you ever a babysitter?
I auditioned, but I never landed. You were definitely a babysitter now.
I just kind of raised my family, but I didn't really babysit other kids.
You never did it for monetary reasons?
No, I mowed lawns to make money as a teen.
That's so chic.
That's something nobody would guess about a girl like me, is that I actually mowed a lot of lawns to buy a Mac laptop in middle school. I was like, when I get into 9th grade, I need to have a Mac. I don't want a Dell, so I'm going to save up.
It's so status.
But sorry, we asked about old loves and then immediately talked about Blockbuster.
Wait, could you bring computers to your school even?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we weren't allowed to bring computers to our school unless you had a disability.
Oh, well, I had a computer forward school district.
Oh my god, did Heb sell MacBooks?
The ones with the laptop cart was so classic.
Yeah, everyone has Chromebooks.
Yeah, it was like Chromebooks.
Yeah.
It was whatever. Half of them were broken. I remember when we got the new ones, I was like, the new ones are so heavy. It was a whole thing. But
have you ever looked up the price of a Chromebook?
Is it $299?
No, it's like when I looked it up last, it was like $150, if that. And sometimes you get a Black Friday deal where you get a Chromebook under $100, where it's like, actually, anyone can access the internet.
I actually wish my school was more analog and I could be more present, because I spent most of high school just like on Pinterest.
When you say analog and around laptops, it does mean typewriter, FY.
So analog computer for me is going to go ahead and mean a composition book and an 8-pack of medium flare and colored pens. Soft tape.
Muji is so analog.
I know, but any old loves?
Yeah, wait, I answered. Is your answer Hello Kitty?
Old love. I remember when I did gymnastics when I was 3, I was in love with this boy Joshua and we got married in gymnastics. And then I was like, okay, we're married. And
But he
that's
got
all I
married.
remember.
Was he gay because he's at gymnastics, or was this in
He
school
had
activity?
to be gay. Maybe he's straight, but I doubt it. Knowing me and my past, the present, and future, Joshua was gay.
I had 2 dreams last night. One was
What?
about a Patreon. Another one was me not ever being able to master my back handspring in gymnastics in 3rd grade.
I never could even figure out a cartwheel.
No, I'm so good at cartwheels. I famously can do 8 cartwheels in a row right now. I can do I can do round off. I was never able to do the back handspring, and I was like, I could do the bridge, which is a key part of a back handspring. I can even push up from a bridge, but I can never get myself to do it in one fluid motion. And it was so devastating with me. And I was like, if my mom didn't put me in baseball because other boys did baseball, I could actually be doing back handsprings in my free time right now.
Fuck. And I was like in swimming, and I was like, nobody at school knows I'm actually really good at the backstroke. Meanwhile, like every girl was like, here's my round off back tug. I was like, damn. I
Wait, was
picked the wrong
backstroke
sport.
your best?
I was really
place?
good at backstroke.
Oh my god! Do you remember how big it was when you learned about butterfly? Because you're like, there's another stroke. Because we all knew
Here's-
about backstroke, and of course,
Breaststroke, everybody's favorite, but I'm like, backstroke, you can breathe the whole time, folks. And it's like, I was never good at swimming because they were always like, don't breathe for the whole lap. And I'd be like, I'm gonna breathe.
I will say backstroke did give me trust issues because you can't look forward. So you have to sometimes wait for people in your community when you're first learning about it to warn you about the wall that's impending.
Right. You have to count your strokes.
The thing is, I've never been able to swim in a straight line. That's not one of my chronological tales in my life. But things I can do is lead with trust in my heart. But not when it came to the backstroke. And I would hit my head so many times. I'm like, that does explain a lot for me. The backstroke did hurt my frontal lobe in some regard.
It is a dangerous one. But anyways, we're here to talk girls, and we are so gagged for our guest. I remember this girl. So like, it's like we asked, where were you when Girls came out? I begged the question, where were you when the Caroline Calloway cut article came out? That's what we want to know. But Caroline was,
Caroline is.
We're so excited to talk to Caroline.
I have so many thoughts about this girl.
She's in Florida, so we are gonna go video. We are gonna go video chat mode right now.
Well, I have a few things to say. I did listen to her on both of Julia. I've always been a big fan of her since captions. Like, I've been loving her captions. I followed her then. But then I listened to her last year on the Julia Fox Forbidden Fruit podcast. And one of my favorite lines ever uttered, and it's actually not true because the book was released, but Caroline was like, I need 7 to 8 more years to finish my book. And then Julia Fox is like, 7 to 8 years? You need 7 or 8 months, Caroline. Get the book out. And just that one chronological tale and Forbidden Fruit Spotify exclusive was huge for me. And now we kind of can talk about the book even today.
And here we go.
Scammer.
Everybody, we are so excited to introduce you to Caroline Calloway. Who, by the way, we're so excited to talk to you because we know that you dedicated your book to Lena Dunham.
Yeah, I did. I'm a huge Lena Dunham fan. I actually have a lot of fun girls facts to tell you guys.
Ooh.
Please, unleash them.
Go off.
Okay, well, I know that Old Loves, the episode that we're talking about this week. Damn, I really feel like I'm at boarding school having not done the reading right now. Like, I'm having like Exeter cold sweats. For the record, I just read the whole Vulture Girls recap episode, like for all of season 4 leading up to season 5. And I honestly got so invested, I ended up reading like 3 episodes afterwards. But no spoilers, I will not bring them up.
No, Vulture's so good at summarizing.
Yeah.
What?
Vulture's so good at summarizing.
Yeah, they are so good. Although it's so interesting to see how well Girls is aged. Like, they're in one of the episodes, they were like making fun of wokeness, and Vulture is like, and that is like so rude to like make fun of someone's pronouns, where I feel like doing that has like now entered into like the I don't know, the cultural zeitgeist. We're not so uptight about that anymore. Like, we've accepted it so much that we've come around to be able to like be comfortable about like making jokes about it, where
Right.
Vulture was like, you cannot touch that subject, you know?
Right. Yeah, we just covered that episode, and it's like Ray today would not. He'd be like, whatever.
I think Ray would still get in trouble because what they do is they call this person he and then she, and then they use they pronouns. They don't even curse to them. But I think that what you're talking about is where it's like it was kind of like as a joke, where it's like we are now at the point where it's like no one cares so much, and if you care so much,
Yes.
it's almost embarrassing.
Yes, Vulture was like, I can't believe they even wrote this scene. Like, it was such a bad scene. You shouldn't even like bring this up. And it's like now I just feel like that's so like no one would bat an eye about that.
Every
Whereas like
TV show has that scene.
Vulture really thought they snapped by making some points about how what a hot button topic it was. But I have some great girls lore to tell you. I'm so glad that we are in the section of the season where Hannah's a teacher.
Yes.
Because the first thing I ever said to Lena Dunham, or the first thing that we ever bonded over, because she actually owned the option to my life rights for 2-3 years, and she wrote a complete script about me and Natalie. This is a little known fact. There's like a complete Caroline, Natalie, Lena Dunham script floating around out there, and guess who was set to play me?
Who?
So Caitlin Dever was playing Natalie, and Margaret Qualley was playing. And then get this, then Margaret starts dating Jack. Whole movie deal falls apart.
Oh my god!
And it was for the best.
On the floor.
Ripping him
it
off
was
the ledge.
endgame. I was thinking at the time when I was watching this sort of disintegrate, I was like, they better fucking get married. This better not be like some 2-week fucking thing that Margaret jumps into. And like, you know what? I'll
Fuck. And now they're in love or whatever.
Yeah, and you know what? And I stand by my my original thought. It was worth it. As long as they got married and it was true love, I think you should do anything for that.
Maybe Lena will circle back.
Well, the problem is we're now we're re-optioning it. So we had the option to renew the option to renew the option. Can you tell I'm a writer? I'm so well-worded. I really think writers are actually the sort of people who think of the right thing to say 2 to 3 years after the right moment has passed.
Of course.
So in 2 years from now, I'll be taking a shower and I'll think of just the best things I could have said on this podcast.
No, totally. Send us an MP3. We'll update the file in the feed.
Yeah, I'll put them in a book.
Yeah.
I'll dedicate it to Zasha this time. But yeah, so we had the option to renew the option, but this was this past spring when like all the Barbie publicity was hitting, and Lena got offered Polly Pocket, and I have no hard feelings. Like the Caroline Calloway Natalie Beach movie would be, you know, a couple $1 million for her to take home at the end of the day after all the budgeting and all the actors are paid and I get paid. Polly Pocket.
She's trying to have a Greta moment.
Like life-changing moment. Like if I'd been in Lena's situation, choosing between a script that would get me like a couple mil or just like set me up to pursue whatever I wanted creatively for like possibly the rest of my life if I don't live crazy. Like I would take that Polly Pocket money in a heartbeat. But it means that we're currently shopping it around to other people, and we're probably going to start from a whole new script. And so the only way the Lena Dunham script would ever get made is if basically one option is like in my 50s or like 60s, like years from now when like no one cares as much about the option and I'm out of contract, or if we go into an option with someone else and then they don't make a movie and then it comes up for option again, and Lena Dunham's, having done Polly Pocket, is just fucking chilling and wants to do the movie. But it was written for Margaret and Caitlin, so we'd have to probably change the script and find new actresses. But the cool girls lore that I want to tell you, that was the first thing that I don't think it was the first thing I said on our very first FaceTime, but it was definitely like the first moment that I felt like she liked me and that we had like a sense of connection was she was friends with, I think, the Simon Rich's family. Just from being in New York, you know, he worked at New York Magazine. Her parents were artists growing up. They were both like New York City families, just downtown and around in the culture. And there's this little cameo that she gives, this sort of like secret scene that she wrote in just for Simon Rich, who was, I think to this day, still the youngest writer ever ever hired by SNL. He's like a Harvard Lampoon guy. I'm a huge fan. Weirdly, his wife and I ended up not knowing they were dating, became great friends. So now I have to be like, I'm a fan of his, but more so his wife. But she puts this little cameo in one of the school scenes where when she's teaching there, some kid makes a joke. And she says, "That's very funny, Simon. I bet you'll grow up to write on SNL one day." And because I was such a huge Simon Rich fan, I was like, listen, I have a question for you, Lena, about a very specific episode, a very specific line. Was this a shout out to Simon Rich? And she was like, yes. Like, I don't know if you're the only person. I mean, I think Simon Rich super fans probably got it as well, but it was a little, Simon had just been hired by SNL. So she put a younger Simon into one of her classrooms, a little mini Simon Rich.
So sweet. God. When we covered that episode, we were like, that is so cutie. And to now know the lore.
I love Easter eggs. If you can make
yeah,
Easter egg,
I know.
I'm like, I've never heard of Simon Rich. I'm like, who are these Simon Rich fans? But I'm really happy for them.
Oh, huge Simon. Ant Farm?
Oh, he's Ant Farm? Oh, say no more. Ant Farm is my world. I live and die by that show. China McClain.
Okay, it's a book, but
oh, never mind. But yeah, also, I love the book.
Not you thinking it's the Disney Channel original show. I'm dead.
Where were you when Girls came out?
Oh, I was that's so funny that you can ask people this as if it were like 9/11 or the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah. That's like incredible. In 2001, September 11th. No.
Yeah, that's incredible that I'm like, how it intertwines with like my memories. I was a freshman and then sophomore at NYU trying desperately to get into Cambridge, but you won't believe it. Cambridge just kept rejecting me. It was so weird. It was like they didn't want me to go.
It's not right.
It's not right.
But to be at NYU as it's happening, you're like, maybe I actually did pick the right school. Cause
I was like, you know what? All adventurous women do. I was like living my life.
Did you watch it and you were like, this is amazing? Or were you not like a heavy viewer early on?
Do you know what's so funny is Natalie introduced me to Girls and she was obsessed with it. And she just thought it was so great. And I honestly, I felt like I was living something so messy and cringe. And you know how Girls, they do that excellent job of like capturing the pathetic and searing ambition of your early 20s. I felt like I was living that every day. So like in my free time, I wasn't like trying to watch a show about it. I was like, I want castles. I want some escapism. Like this is
right. You're like, I don't need a satirical lens on my current life.
Yeah, like I don't need to be like
show.
I'm not trying to like get skewered comedically right before I like, drift off to sleep. Like it was actually too painful to watch. But I think that was just because I was young also and like unmedicated for depression. I think maybe if I'd been on antidepressants, I could have had a higher tolerance for Girls, but I very much was interested about this idea about this young girl, cover of magazines, writing about her life, making this show into like what had happened to her. That was like people made it was no secret that like the character was her. In fact, she was having a hard time distancing herself from that character. That's how intertwined they were. And as someone who's always been interested in memoir, I would say I was more invested in Lena Dunham than I ever was in Girls, just because this act of self-creation and really moving the cultural needle and becoming a New York icon, like that's what I couldn't look away from. And I was obviously racked with jealousy. I was like, why didn't Judd Apatow give me a show? This is
Right. Why didn't Judd call you? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was so crazy.
Well, I will say, I would feel like like the impact of this show, like most people are like, I love girls, don't like Lena Dunham. We hear this line all the time, but the people that really stuck with the show for over the last 10 years that didn't just come back for the rewatch that's happening right now, fell in love with Lena Dunham. And I feel like that's a really interesting
That's
contrast.
not- oh my God. I feel like the people who don't like Lena Dunham, listen, they're gonna eat their words someday. Like they are gonna.
I
Someday
agree.
now.
Also, I will say I pre-gamed this podcast by listening to you on Celebrity Memoir Book Club defending Lena Dunham. And I was so like, I am so on like your side of things. Like these girls are so mad. And I'm like, is there really a reason? All love to them too. But I was like, y'all are mad for like the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of empathy for them. I think they get paid when they get mad,
Mhm.
like the
Yeah.
episodes that like don't bring in new viewers, that don't go viral, are the episodes when they don't have hot takes. So like it's in their best interest to stay mad.
I love opinions. It doesn't matter which way you go with it. I love an opinion.
Let's do our minute synopsis really quick. Ready, set, go.
Fran, put that pen down. Hannah does not want you grading those papers, but he's like, you gotta know about classic writing. She's like, can we just let kids have fun for once? Jess is at a female-only AA meeting, but you know who's coming up the elevator? It's Adam. And he's like, I can't go back downstairs. And you know who's putting a wall up between their
Okay, so
relationship?
Desi is building a wall in Marnie's tiny little apartment, and Marnie's like, I hate you. Why are you always so selfish? You never think about me. And then we cut to Jessa studying because she's a psychologist student now, and Marnie and Hannah are there, and they're talking about Old Loves Tumblr page and like cute old couples. And then Jessa's like, yeah, Adam sucks, lol. Fran sucks too. And then Marnie's like, wait, I should actually apologize to Desi. Oh,
And she's like, I'm the one building the wall, runs back home to apologize. Very Marnie 2.0 of her, taking full responsibility, maybe even too much. Back to Jessa and Jessa's and Hannah. Jessa tells Hannah that she's not writing because of the internet, which is someone who had to get off the Instagram to write their book, was probably good advice. And sort of pushes Hannah away because Jessa knows that she's about to go fuck Adam. At one point, Hannah's like, do you even want to be my friend? Calls Jessa out. And Jessa doesn't say that she does want to be friends. And it ends with her going to fuck Adam. Sex isn't good. Cut to Jessa looking at Adam's sleeping face. We know a ticking bomb is on the horizon.
Oh, you killed.
you ate
I will
that.
say this episode is like
I may
Virginia
have just
'cause it's for
plagiarized
lovers.
Vulture, so like just no.
We
I
plagiarize
ate,
Vulture
like,
every day.
but like Vulture ate.
Us just existing, we're plagiarizing Vulture.
No, literally. But I'm like, this episode is like Virginia because it's for lovers. It's just
It's
for
for
couples.
lovers.
Because Elijah also falls
yeah.
in love with a news anchor.
We can't forget.
And they
Is
go to
the
Times
news
Square.
anchor supposed to be Andy Cohen?
No, I think it's supposed to be the other guy.
The bald one?
No, the gray hair. And they
Oh.
do New Year's together.
Oh, Anderson Cooper.
Anderson
Cooper.
Cooper.
He's so Anderson Cooper.
It's so Matt Rogers coded.
Who?
The guy Elijah's dating is supposed to be Anderson Cooper.
There's
the
like
gay
a
hawk.
small D plot where Elijah's fucking him uptown and has a
Yes,
magical
yes.
date. Yeah.
Yes, I swear, judging by the Simon Rich cameo, I feel like there's so many celebrities that go unnoticed and girls that like Lena Dunham wrote in from personal acquaintance, especially once we get to like season 5 where the show is like picked up. I mean, Anderson
Yeah.
Cooper, she met through what is Allison Williams as Marnie's
Oh,
real name?
yeah.
Oh, you're so right.
Brian
Like,
Williams.
she would have been exposed to him enough to write about him because that's her dad. But like, I bet there's so many other celebrities that like she meets along the way that she writes into the show.
Girl, what girl are you?
Oh, I'm Caroline Calloway, Jessa Johansson.
Yeah, we thought as much. You're actually one of the only
You're the
people in the
only
world that
one.
I'm like, that's a Jessa.
Yeah. I am.
Although you're a writer, don't you feel a little Hannah
No,
sometimes?
I know. I do feel like I'm very obviously like Hannah's the one who's writing everything, and Hannah Horvath also alliterative. I'm like a Jessa Hannah mix, but I feel more Jessa in my heart of hearts.
What do you think makes you Jessa?
I didn't pay rent in New York City for a year in my apartment. I'm currently surrounded by lots of little ceramics that I'm making.
That is so Jessa.
I might do. Honestly, I got my clay out. I thought sometimes it's nice to have something to do with your hands while you're on a podcast. So I got some clay out. Let's see. I currently have a deep, deep gash in my thumb that I think might be gangrenous. I like really, really hurt myself.
Oh my God, what did you do?
And I was rearranging my trinkets as one does. And then I have this one trinket that I really like because it's this old sort of pioneer woman, but I dropped her years ago, or someone dropped her at a party in New York, and her head came off, but her head sort of fits in her arms like some sort of weird, it now fits in her arms like some sort of weird Italian martyr. But because it wasn't intended to display this way, the shards around her neck are very pointy and incredibly knife-like. Yeah, so I do need to like go get like a tetanus shot. I feel like Jess is the only character on Girls who's ever been like, do I have tetanus? Actually, Hannah might, but
No, I'm like, Hannah would definitely have tetanus.
Yeah.
yeah.
Have
Maybe that's Hannah.
Have you ever interacted with Jemima?
No, never. But I have a friend who's really good friends with Lola.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like y'all are the same.
I love that your
New York
name's
circle.
alliterative too. It's so girls coded.
Yeah. The thing is, what I think makes me most Jessa are not the things that are like Jessa the character, but everything I do is so Caroline Calloway. Like I think I'm most like Jessa in the ways that aren't really like how the character is, but is the way that I'm a character unlike anyone else. You know, like no one else Caroline Calloway in the same way that no one else is Jessa. And I think that's what makes me most Jessa like. Whereas I feel like lots of people are Hannah. And you know what? If the writing about yourself is like the one thing I have to give up to be a Jessa, it's like, well, fair enough. I didn't write a book until I was like fucking 32, you know, still on brand.
I love it.
Yeah, you're authentic in the same way Jessa is. Like all these girls are authentic, but I feel like your authenticity resonates closest with Jessa. Oh, should we
100%.
send another meeting invite?
In 10.
In 10. We're using free Zoom. So we'll have to send another.
We'll send another one in 10 minutes when
my business partners like put me on an allowance. Like it's like I'm in a conservatorship and that's exactly how I want it to be. So the reason I didn't watch this episode for the viewers at home is because my Hulu account literally declined. I like went into Hulu. I won't be getting more money for a couple more weeks from them. But you know something so cute that I wanted to show you. Hold on. Don't look. Look. This little thing of boba.
Oh my God.
Did you make that?
No, someone probably that Soch met in Tokyo made it.
That's so real.
It's so sweet.
Wait, your cat's cutie. I
So
want
much.
one.
Do you guys have cats?
No, but we think about getting one every week.
Are you roommates?
Yeah, we're roommates.
Oh my God, amazing. How old are you guys?
25.
25.
Oh my gosh. That's how old everyone is in this season.
Yeah, it kind of.
I know.
I know. That's kind of the whole.
It's kind of real. Wait, really quick, Evan, what girl were you this episode?
Thank you for asking. This is so honestly, I know it's such a hard question, this specific episode. Maybe Marnie,
Why?
because I feel like the thing about Marnie in this episode is but then I'm like complimenting myself. Huh. Who do
It's
I feel
okay.
like?
I feel like by self-identifying as a Jessa and not a Hannah, I feel like I just really was like, you know what? I'm the best parts of myself and I'm not like the worst parts of myself.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm actually any of these people in this episode for the first time ever. But if I had to pick either Marnie, because I love her whole thing where she makes everything about her, but then it also gives her an aha moment where she's like, Hannah's going through this crazy thing, and then she's like, Hannah, you're actually in the wrong, and then Hannah being in the wrong is like, wait, actually, I'm in the wrong too. So she kind of takes her own advice by giving her advice to others. Like she takes her advice because she gives it to others, and then she's compromising for Desi. And like, I don't know if I feel like that though. You answer it, and I might want to come back if that's okay.
Okay, well, in a creepy
Girl,
turn of
what grade are
events,
you?
Yeah,
I
what about you, Amelia?
think I'm Marnie in this episode because I think Marnie's actually right from the start and then gaslights herself into being like, I need to apologize to my husband. And it's like, I am so like, wait, this isn't right. And then I'll like let myself convince myself that I'm wrong and that my feelings aren't valid and that I'm the bad person and then apologize to someone who's making me mad. Like, that is so classic, whatever. But I'm like, clearly you didn't take that away from that whole
No,
plot.
I actually had a different takeaway
How
from
are you doing it to yourself again? You're literally doing it in this moment. You're like, wait. Am I the one who's wrong?
I just like I watched the episode and I was like, okay, Marnie actually shouldn't apologize to Desi. She's being completely valid by being like, talk to me before you put a wall in my rented apartment.
Yeah, I know. I know.
All love.
I know, but I think the reasoning for Desi to do that, which is like it is so manic and crazy, and he's on painkillers, is because he like can't connect with Marnie. So he's like, I have to do a grand gesture because he's not feeling any. He's like, no. The reason is Marnie's like resolution is that she's like, I put these walls up between our relationship, so it forced him to put an actual wall up in our apartment. So I don't
There
know,
is
both in the
no
wrong.
emotional wall that one can ever put up that justifies someone building a physical wall in your rented space without
No, Desi's of course
prior.
crazy.
You're grounding me so much right now. I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm actually so valid. I love it. Okay, let's lead into Lena.
I'm gonna come back at the end of the episode and
Yeah,
figure it out.
once
I've never not answered.
I know this is crazy.
This
This
is
is unprecedented.
Wow.
Leading into Lena, we're going to talk about kind of all the plot lines of the episode. First and foremost, how are you feeling about the classic Adam and Jessa coming together?
When I was younger, I think it triggered me so much, not because it ever happened to me, like with a friend hooking up with one of like an ex that I really cared about. Like I've had friend group crossover, but in terms of like someone who really like took your heart, it never happened to me. But I lived in fear of it happening because I just really, until like my late 20s, finding out that like a close friend was with one of my close exes, I wouldn't have had enough like interior architecture of the self to withstand that. Like I would just absolutely, it would obliterate me. I would be like, do I even have real friends? Was what I shared with that person even real? So when I was younger, I saw the whole Jessa and Adam thing, and it just spiked panic in my heart. And it made it very easy for me to demonize Jessa and what she's doing. But now at 32, I feel totally different about it. It's like there is a way to do that ethically. I don't think sneaking around is it, but I think even at the point that they got to that they're left at the end of Old Loves, they've only slept together once. And yes, they had the masturbation and yes, there've been kisses, but I still think we're in the period of time where you could salvage the friendship with Hannah. If you really sat her down, you're like, listen, I really thought it was just kisses. And I thought, this is going to sound so fucked up, but I thought if we masturbated together, we could just, without touching each other more than kissing, just like get this out of our system. But like we slept together and I really I know this is awful and like take as much time as you need, but like, I just want you to know, because I wouldn't want you to find out any other way. Cause I do hope that like, maybe not next week or next month or even next year, I do hope that like someday we can be old on rocking chairs together, like laughing about this. So right now, I think we're still at a time where at 32, I'm like, girl, just be honest and you can salvage this. Like this is not, we're not past the point of no return, where it's like at a certain point, what to be honest with Hannah would mean to tell her, I've been fucking Adam for months. Like that's just at that point you've ruined, you've broken something that can never be regained.
Well, I'm curious to hear both of your takes on this, but I also think it's maybe of a cultural thing too. Like I think back in 2017 or 15 when this was coming out, like it was so like breaking girl code to the ultimate rule to like sleep with your friend's ex. But now I think it's more culturally acceptable to like sleep with people in your friend group, like sleeping with friends, like that whole conversation of it all. And like just also I think the point about communication is so correct as well. It's like but that's also a bigger conversation in the sense of sexuality now, like around just like having communication to have like great sexuality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I honestly just think it's like a communication issue is like why it's not okay because it's like the situation itself, while a little ambiguous, I feel like there's a way to work through it with your friend. It's more the betrayal of like hiding it
I still
that's
think I'd
so
hate my
wrong.
friend though, no?
You still
I
what?
feel like I'd still hate my friend a little, but maybe I get
Oh yeah,
over
for
it.
sure. Which is why I
Yeah.
put that caveat. Like, you might not be over this next week, next month, even next year, but like, I do think that there is like an end game path forward for the friendship. But you do have to remember that where we leave off, we technically haven't gotten into that sticky area of like, it's not a secret yet. Like, we leave off just at the point where it's like, now Jessa has to make a decision, and like, no spoiler
Yeah.
alert. Who knows what Jessa will do? The right thing, maybe.
She totally is gonna. I trust her.
Gonna. I
Uh
totally believe in her. I totally believe in her.
It is like you see Jessa in Rice to Riches try and like distance herself from Hannah to be like, I want this so bad. And the only way I can ethically do it is to be really mad at my friend and not and be like kind of ending the friendship and be like, oh, we were in a fight when that happened. So she's like literally trying to get Lena to be like, or Hannah to be like, you're a cunt.
Rice Riches is the craziest scene ever.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But she also does that in this episode, like refusing to, or like really griping about paying for a very small meal for Hannah.
Which is an amazing scene, especially Hannah's coming back into Rice and Riches and cursing out Jessa, where you see her pause outside the window for a few seconds, like beat one, beat two, beat three as you're focusing on Jessa, and then she opens the glass door and it's like, you know what? You're the biggest bitch I've ever met. You are such a cunt. I can we say that word online? She delivers the best. It's like the first time we've ever heard cunt out loud was kind of when Hannah said that on HBO.
Yeah, that is yeah, I forgot how now everyone's like serving cunt.
Yes.
Like, now it's like such a word. But yeah, it was really radical then. I really believe something I did in my 20s, and that I wrote this line that I really loved in my first book that was like, one way of leaving is behaving so badly that you yourself are left. And I really did that both with like my main boyfriend in my early 20s, like my first big love. I didn't know how to get out of that relationship, and so I was just the worst to him. I cheated on him, not like in a sleeping with other people way, but like I kissed someone else, which is obviously not fucking okay. It's still cheating. And I also did that with my first big publishing deal. Like I was really during that time I was really addicted to amphetamines. But like when I was a senior in college, having finally gotten into Cambridge, um, I got into this big $500,000 book deal for this book that I realized I didn't want to write. I really felt like in my early 20s, it really behooved me to idealize my life. Like that's where I was rewarded. Like I'd get more likes, more followers, more money because the book deal would be worth more than like some sort of strange indie addict memoir if I was like this big blockbuster, big budget Hollywood rom-com, like, Julia Roberts, Hugh Grant, Notting Hill sort of vibe. So I feel like I really grew in that direction, but I just got out of that book deal by just pushing my publishers away, just not turning in drafts. I didn't communicate with them. And like Jess is doing exactly that. Like there's a way to salvage this situation, but instead um she's trying to avoid doing the hard work of being honest and taking responsibility for herself and leaving by just behaving so badly that she herself is left.
That
Well,
is
that's
so
I
real.
was gonna say it's so Hannah, honestly.
I mean,
Kind of
it,
when she's given the Iowa opportunity where it's like, here's this big opportunity, time for you to be as authentic as possible, lean into this experience. And then she kind of throws it all away at the moment it gets a little difficult for her, where it's like, and she self-sabotages in that same way, where it's like being a writer it's so much about the writing, but it's also just so much about the experience of trying to get to be a writer.
Are you guys writers?
no.
Um, I have
I
morning
feel like
pages.
Oh, Evan's been doing some poetry.
yeah, I'm like it's giving writer.
We
Oh,
need to get on
we need to
it.
get on it.
Uh,
Podcast is almost writing.
it's writing for the screen.
Oh,
But I will say it is so classic, like in your 20s, you're so afraid of like being honest or like doing the thing that's gonna like it's so vulnerable to do the thing that's true instead of like trying to like weasel your way out of it by just like pretending or not dealing with it. Like I think the whole thing of Jessa like avoiding and pushing people away is just like I don't know anybody in their 20s who hasn't like done that with something just because they were afraid to have like an important conversation. It's like we're just so bad at communicating when we're little.
yeah, I also think it's a way of lying to yourself. Like if you don't have to examine your in order to be honest with others about your behavior, you have to self-examine first. And by avoiding being honest with others about your behavior, you save yourself those vulnerable conversations, but you also save yourself that painful self-examination. And when I was getting out of that relationship with my ex in my early 20s in that book deal, like I was really incapable of just being honest with myself and being like, I'm choosing pills. Like what I really want to do is like be alone in my studio in the West Village and get high. Like I don't want to have this fucking guy who loves me being like, take less Adderall. So annoying. So annoying.
Cut it out.
Yeah, cut it out. Like, oh my God, so unchill of him. So annoying. It's like, okay, love me less, or or love me, like just like leave me alone. And then this whole book deal, like I didn't want to spend the rest of my life signing copies of a memoir that wasn't even about me. And in order to admit that, I'd have to admit that like I had really just gotten the quick. Thankfully, they didn't give me all $500,000 up front. It's industry standard to do like 20% as a author's advance. But I'd already spent that $100,000. And if I had to be honest with my publishers, I would have had to be honest with myself about like, I'm in debt now. Like if I want to get out of this book deal, like I'm in $100,000 worth of debt and I'm going to have to like figure out how to pay this back. And by just pushing them away, I put that conversation off until the last possible moment, until they're like, okay, we're leaving. Where's our money?
Oh
And
my God. And then you develop
everything-
OCD and put a Q-tip in your ear.
what?
Then you develop OCD and put a Q-tip in your ear.
Bro, I feel like I have a scar on the back of my calf. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not OCD, but it's just this little red boil that's so gross. Maybe you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I don't want this on the internet, but listeners at home can know for a fact that I have a little red boil on the back of my calf, which is when I was during my Adderall years. I would just like pick holes into my skin. Like I would like start with like a hair follicle and I just like dig and dig and dig. And it was more the amphetamines though than OCD, but it was definitely some sort of psychosis for sure.
There's something happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I ever since I got off Adderall, never picked a hole in my skin again.
I think that's how it goes.
That's one of the weird symptoms.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried it? Adderall?
I was prescribed it my whole childhood. I got it diagnosed in first grade.
Oh my gosh. I'm not anti Adderall for the record. Like
No, but yeah.
It's my go-to night out thing.
I miss it so much. It's so much fun. I wish it were for me, but I've given up Coke even. I just feel like, it clips too neatly into the puzzle pieces of my brain. But do you take it, Evan?
I don't really. I think I actually had this conversation with myself this week where I'm like, I think I'm gonna try to go back on ADHD drugs to just see what happens. Because like I will have large swaths of my day where I'm like, even if I feel like I've been doing something, like I have no register of the last 3 hours of my life. Just like
Totally.
time that passes by. Like that's just how my ADHD manifests. But I usually subsidize my ADHD medication with like trying to go for runs and caffeine. But just like let's actually do the real stuff.
That's so healthy, and I'm so proud of you. And 2016
Yes,
me could
Caroline
never.
Calloway's
So,
proud.
like, really, really good job on that.
I also feel like in 2016, less people were like actively talking about. There's such a conversation around like all of this stuff nowadays.
Oh yeah, I felt crazy and alone. And also like I didn't have a problem because it's like who'd ever heard of being addicted to Adderall?
Yeah,
Like
you're like, that's not a thing.
it's not a thing. Like people don't have Adderall problems. Like I'm just like a silly goofy girl who like loves her study drugs.
You're bad. You're
So
so
am
fun.
you.
I know. Okay, let's dive into Hannah and Fran and them finally getting to a point in a relationship where Hannah's like pissed at him and is like, wait, this nice guy actually kind of is infuriating me. What do we think?
I have so many thoughts on this because the thing Hannah delivers an amazing line here, which is like Fran is just a nice person, is a psycho in a nice person's body, where Adam is a in a psycho's body, but is actually a kind person. And then Jess like, actually, Adam's just both of those things, but whatever. Where it's like we seemingly see all these people that present so kind and awesome, and then you actually get to know their inner work, and you're like, actually, you're one of the craziest, bizarre varks I've ever met in my whole life. You're
Bizarre Varks.
that's another Disney Channel original.
I
Uh,
know. Take Paul. It's also like internet lore as well. Like you got that influencer Disney Channel crossover. I love that for us.
Hell yeah.
but it is really like it is such a this has been really thank you because the way you present says so much to it's just an interesting thing that so many people put so many assumptions on you, of course, by the way you present yourself, but you actually really have to get to know someone to know if they're a psycho or not. And sometimes it's behind the surf.
So wait, I'm sorry. What did Fran do in this episode that you think is bizarre?
Oh, yeah, yeah. A great question. So he kind of takes this girl name, he calls her Male, but her name is Miley. It's just the
He's just basically micromanaging Hannah's substitute teacher job by like grading her students and being like, don't you need to be grading for like grammar instead of just like poetic nuance? And Hannah's not like, how dare you like interrogate me? I think Hannah's just feeling like insecure that her boyfriend is like undermining her and being like, you're not good at what you do.
in
When
the
she,
nudes in the earlier episode.
and last episode, she was pissed because she found a bunch of Fran's ex-girlfriend's nudes on his phone. And she's like, why
Yeah.
don't you jerk off to me? So it's kind of like building.
You know, I when I read that on Vulture, I immediately thought of something that I was like, I gotta say this on the pod because this is so fucking clippable. I hope all my exes are out there right now jerking off to my nudes. Like I don't think they should be deleted. Like I hope as we speak, they are out there just looking at old, even back to like grainy nudes from iPhone 4s. Like I want that shit to live forever.
100%. And I honestly like Fran's argument is like, well, I don't want to watch porn. It's really bad for women. And it's like, at least I cared about these women. And it's like, yeah.
I would be so oh my god, the way that she deletes all of them, that he should break up with her. Honestly, him micromanaging the her teaching style, unless you were gonna say like his Zardvark behavior was some I don't know, plot point that I just missed in my Vulture recap. It's just the micromanaging of her teaching style. I still feel like Hannah's way less of the catch in this relationship, psychological, like
You're
in terms
so
of psychological
Marnie.
stability. What?
You're so Marnie because she says the same thing to Hannah. Actually, I in this episode, I'm like, he's just being really. The thing about like, I just really don't like when other people take control of other creative process. Like, she's really doing her teaching in her own way. Like, she's coming to her own right. Like, she wants to help promote these kids. Like, the whole argument was that like one child wasn't writing in like a classically great English way, but Hannah's like, she's being so creative. Let me reward that. But
Mhm.
Fran's like, let's just be really good teachers on paper. And then Fran's whole thing, he's really good at being good on paper. Where Hannah is like, she's taking this more nuanced approach. Like she's promoting this person's poetry that's like isn't grammatically correct, but she's having fun and she's being really cool with it. And I love Hannah's style. I always gravitate towards teachers like that, especially like growing up neurodivergent, like and like having so much trouble in school. Like teachers that are able to take a wider lens at the educational system and not be so rigid with it really can help a student flourish into themselves.
Don't you think within their relationship, like him correcting her teaching style is much less offensive than her deleting all of his ex's nudes off of his phone?
100%. Like, I think it's more just like they're using it as a metaphor for like Hannah's creative personality and Fran's like by the book, whatever. So it's like the whatever arc they're trying to like get across about these two characters. But if I was Hannah, I would be I mean, if I was Hannah, I'd be on Hannah's side, but it's like if I was in that context, it's like it's definitely more evil to like delete someone's stuff than like have your boyfriend like grade one paper. Bitch, relax.
Totally. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you, Amelia. You guys, wait, I actually have some questions for you that I need to ask.
Please. Let's
Okay.
dive in.
Yes. And before we end our this episode, we have to play the game where
And
you
we
tell
have to play the game.
which girl.
I know we have to get it all in.
Yeah, we do have to get it all in. Okay, I need to know which girl overall each of you are, because I realized I didn't get to ask at the beginning. I didn't. I was
Oh
being
no,
asked
don't
questions.
worry. Don't yeah. I think overall, I don't like because we do it episode by episode, and I've had to literally sink half my life into the show. It is an
You
ever
lost the
evolving.
plot that you don't know the overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we go on the nuance of each of the characters so deeply, but I mean, like by
You're
the book,
so
like
zoomed in, you can't zoom out to think like big.
I'm
if
just
we
Shauna
zoom
season
out,
1 and 2, I feel like right now.
What?
yeah,
I feel like I'm Shoshana season 1, 2, and 3 almost. If I
I'm
had
like,
to pick for myself.
and I'm like Marnie, just very type A and just like wanting to be in control.
amazing. I love that. And if I'm a Jessa Hannah mix, then the whole gang's here.
The whole gang's here.
Amazing.
Wait, the
Okay.
reboot's gonna go off.
Oh my God. Yeah, our girls reboot.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I have to ask you something so important. Okay. Were you freaking out when Zasha came on the pod?
Oh, of course we were
Were
thinking.
you dying? Was that the last guest you had before me? God, what a fucking letdown. I'm so sorry.
No, my God. No, you're 4 episodes apart.
Yeah.
So
But
did you
we're
have guests in between them? Or
we just had Iris Apatow yesterday.
shut up.
That was scary just because it's like she's also 21 and it's like younger people when you talk to them are like less like like they're it's like she's famous, she's so cool, but she's also like a little girl, so it's like
Yeah.
being like, hi cutie.
Yeah. Wait, Lena's her godmother, right?
I don't know. She
Maud
didn't.
and I share an obsession with cats and are always texting each other photos of our cat. She ended up like long-term dating my best friend in the world. So
No way.
yeah, crazy.
Oh my God.
It's small.
Well, Iris was so sweet.
Iris was the cutest girl I think I've ever met in my whole life.
But Zasha was so stressful because we had tech issues, so we had to move to 3 different platforms and we only had an hour, and it's like we were doing it because she was trying to do like promo for her movie, so like her whole team was like emailing trying to get like movie promotions in, so it was like a lot of like us just being in our basement like pretending that we're industry people.
Oh my God. I'm so stressed just thinking about that. This is exactly the sort of BTS tea that I wanted. Wait, so then how long did you actually have with her to record? Probably not long.
Hour 15 hour. I don't know.
We got on the call with her at 7 and we ended it at like 7:58.
Yeah. Oh my God. So not even an hour.
Yeah.
And like it was the longest hour of my life though. Does that help?
You're like longest hour of my life, but I blacked out. I did not remember anything. Ask me no further questions.
It was like I remember after we finished the recording, I was like, what just happened? And then it's like when I had to go back and edit it, I had to actually like face the past so head on and be so aware of like how I performed. And I was just like, I shouldn't see this.
Yeah, you're like,
It's so funny.
I am so curious because Lena, it's similar to you. I feel like it's so much backlash online. Like, how did you, when like all the book stuff and the cut stuff happened, like, how did you work through that and like get out of that?
And
And how did you deal with like the
what?
online drama?
The
What?
the book stuff and the what stuff? The
Well,
TED
just like when the cut article came
Oh, with
out,
the cut. Yeah. Sorry, I
and
thought you said
then
TED. I was like, I've famously never given a TED Talk. Actually, like not so famously, but I would like it to be more famous. The fact that I've never given a TED Talk. 'Cause I feel like people peg me as the sort of person who would. And then
yeah.
be totally fair, there was a year there in like 2014 when I sort of wanted to, but I moved on. But yes, he does get a lot of hate online.
We need you on the C word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is she still doing it?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I think she's
But
a new podcast now.
yeah.
Does she have
Or
a new
no,
podcast?
not a new podcast. Not a new podcast. I'm sorry, I misspoke. She's working on her new production company.
I know. Oh my God.
Like Salter
Like
Show.
Salter.
So
Yeah. But sorry, I interrupted you because I thought you said Ted.
TED
I'm sorry.
Talk.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm so sorry, Amelia. Go on.
oh, I'm just curious, like we're always thinking about Lena in terms of like she's had so much backlash and then has like made that part of her story. And I think like you parallel that in a lot of ways. How has that experience been? And like what is it from your perspective? Like how does it feel like trying to be creative and like tell your story while actively people are like, don't tell your story?
Yeah. Like you have nothing to say. We don't want to hear it. Shut up. Like that is honestly so heartbreaking as a writer. But I think something that Lena and I have in common is even if our haters can be very, very loud, we also have genuine fans who like buy our shit and like do want to hear us. So all hope is not lost. But it can be easy to just get down on yourself. But in terms of making it part of your story, I feel like there's no other choice. Like it would be very I know people think I know Natalie did a great job of sort of erasing my Adderall addiction from the record and presenting everything I ever did high off my mind as drugs as like the core of my character and personality. And she made me seem like this really dumb, frivolous, delusional, unrealistic person. But that's not and I was those things on enough amphetamines to be totally fair. But like in terms of what I'm really like I'm very much I'm a dreamer, but I'm capable of engaging with reality. And the reality is that this is my story. Like it's what's happened to me in my life. And to try to pretend like that's not there or it didn't happen, like that would just be insane, you know?
Right.
Like I make it part I think I make it part of my story and Lena makes it part of her story just because like to ignore it would be to refuse to engage with reality and
Mhm.
neither of us are interested in being that delusional. Like I think we're both artistic, dreamy, flighty people, but like you can see in the granular attention to detail and these little quirks that we present in our early 20s and the way Girls captures that. You can see the way Lena Dunham does that, or in the sort of like brutal honesty that I do in my memoirs, sort of shocking, controversial truth telling. Like at the end of the day, we're both most interested in the truth, no matter what it makes us look like.
Well, Caroline, I say you really speak without shame. Like you take all these experiences that you have, and I don't, in my inflection of like hearing what you talk about, it's so like, here's the facts, here's everything that happened. You're very forthcoming and you're telling a beautiful story. And I think Lena, of course, does it in the same way where it's like, even if people want you to internalize these things that happen to you in such a shameful way, you guys are like, it's just what happened. It's my story. Like, let's move on. And it's made you beautiful. I love it.
Oh, thank you. I think we both also something we bond over. Honestly, the number one thing that I think I got out of the whole movie deal with Lena Dunham was not, knowing Margaret or meeting, I don't know, Caitlin Deaver was so nice, although we are not friends, but she is just wonderful. It was she had just done Booksmart, so I was like, so starstruck. Or just like, even that this script exists, like, I'm just so happy to know one of my idols, even if the movie never gets made, because I think Lena's one of those people who will always be herself in spite of herself, and that's something I feel very plagued by, and gifted with. And I also think that she feels like her purpose in this world is to make art about her experiences in the world, which I think is a very specific. Like, some people, their problem is that they don't know what to do with their lives. I think some people, their problem is that they've only ever wanted to be one very specific thing. And I think Lena and I share that.
Mm.
And on top of that, we both want to be the same thing. Not just like one thing, like, we want to be making art about our lives.
Mhm.
But thank you for saying that I handle it really well. For what it's worth, it's now been 5 years since my ex-best friend tried to take credit for my entire brand and everything I ever wrote. One of the books I'm putting out in this year of putting out 3 books is I was inspired by Taylor Swift's re-records. And since I wrote all the captions about Cambridge myself without any help, and I own the full copyright, I'm just putting them all in a book, because even though she lied that I'm too dumb to run a brand, the truth is that we fell out of touch for like 3 years while I alone wrote those captions. So I'm putting them all in a book. But what I'm trying to say is, it's been 5 years, and when it happened, I was a mess. And I couldn't speak like this, and I went to a lot of therapy. So thank you for noticing, but also it was not always like this. So I don't want to set any unrealistic expectations for people out there currently going through a friend breakup from hell.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to focus. We've got 7 minutes left.
Do you want to play my game, or do you want
Can we do your game?
Let's do your game.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is a game. I'm starting a new podcast in the future called What Would Carolyn Calloway Do? And this is a twist on that title, which is the very clunkily titled, Which Girl from Girls Would Do This? That Carolyn Calloway did.
What girl did this?
Which girl from Girls did this? That Caroline Calloway did.
Caroline Calloway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are real things from my life that I have done. And I want you to tell me which girl would do it. And some of them are well-known factoids, and some of them are never before seen factoids from deep.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I hope we're on the same page.
Should we say it at the same time? We could do 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Lie on your application to Cambridge University. 3, 2, 1.
Leah.
Hannah.
Oh, yeah. Good job. Okay, we should go with girls' character names.
Yeah, like Lena Dunham herself. She lied on her Cambridge application, and you can TikTok that out.
It'll be like the one clip that goes like mega viral.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would host a creativity workshop where flower crowns are made? 1, 2, 3.
Shoshana.
Oh,
I went Shoshana in my head first, but then I kind of went Jessa.
Jessa would never organize an event.
Shoshana would organize, Jessa would lead.
Okay.
But then Marnie would do
Marnie
a
flower crown.
Okay.
It might be Marnie.
I think Marnie would organize it, but hold on. Which character would try to organize the event, but have it so poorly organized that it goes viral? 1, 2, 3.
Jessa.
Okay.
It's so Con.
Or Shosh.
No,
but Shosh would be good at it.
Never do that.
Yeah, Shosh would be good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would have a ex-best friend write a scathing tell-all on the cut and try to take credit for their work? 1, 2, 3.
Hannah. That crazy girl.
Okay. Who would sell topless photos on OnlyFans dressed as famous literary heroines So like Juliet Capulet, but she's a slut, Elizabeth Bennet, but she's a slut, in order to earn back $100,000 to pay back their publishers from the book deal that they got into. 1, 2, 3.
Hannah.
You know what it is though? Because in this specific episode, the news anchor boyfriend's like my aunt who's addicted to painkillers sold my nudes online and childhood photos online.
You know what? Elijah would do it.
Elijah might do it.
That's so Elijah. He's like, I've got money to make and I know how we're going to do it. He's like swapping out top hats.
Okay, totally. Okay, this one's, now we're getting into the more niche, not so known ones. Okay.
Perfect.
Which character would own a Siamese cat? 1, 2, 3.
Jessa.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Which character would still creepily have all of their baby teeth saved? 1, 2, 3.
Marnie.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Marnie on that. I love how I just assign myself the ref of this game. Like,
No, you go ahead.
No, I love that you guys are these two, Amelia and Evan, are white knuckling fingers interlaced, holding hands on the
I'm saying only different names.
The last two contestants in a Miss America pageant, and only one of them can make it, but they're gonna be so happy for the other girl. Yeah, like they'll cry even if like they don't win out of happiness.
Yeah, it's so Survivor finale.
It is. Okay, which character from Girls, and I love that we're expanding it to not just the girls, so any of them. Which character from Girls would not have any kneecaps? I don't have any kneecaps. They were surgically removed. It's just like a strange body fact about me. Yeah.
Adam.
Our answer can also be none of the character in Girls you've actually outgrown.
Adam would totally get rid of his kneecaps.
Yeah, weigh him down.
Who would?
Adam.
Oh, absolutely. So true.
He'd be like, I don't use them. Let me get rid of them.
Okay. Next question. Which character from Girls would not pay, this is back to known facts, not pay rent in New York for a month and just party?
So easy.
Jessa.
Okay.
She basically does that.
What?
She does that. She doesn't pay for Shoshana, I'm sure.
Okay, which Girls character would turn 30, feel like they haven't written a book? I mean, maybe take out the book stuff because that makes it too specific. They'd turn 30, realize they need to get their life together, move to a rural-ish town in Florida, and earn back the money to fully pay back their landlords, which I did, by the way. Just a little shout out to me. 42 grand.
No, shout out to you.
Hannah.
I don't know.
Hannah, yeah, for sure.
Hannah would retreat. It's so crazy to think about the girls grown up.
Yeah, it is. It's like women. The show is not a show for a reason.
Yeah, 100%.
We should just say goodbye, but this was a fun little game.
This is so fun.
It was perfect.
Thank you so much for being on.
This is such a treat.
Magic. We love you so much.
Oh my gosh, yes. And thank you so much for having me.